carrying to this moment. And no, I won't let go. I'm resistant to the flow. Yes, I can be present, 'cause it's all in the name of family healing. It's all in the name of family healing. But I know I can learn to be one, connected to everything. I know I don't have to chase you, 'cause the beauty is the moment, the beauty is here. The beauty is learning to be clear, and the beauty is walking the path, even when it's not so dear. 'Cause it's all in the name of, all in the name of, all in the name of family healing. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining. I hope this morning finds you well and heart opened, nourished, and present to what is. What is? That could be acceptance. That could be total acceptance of the here and now. And that's a beautiful thing. This week's theme is about acceptance. Thanks to Tyler for mentioning it. I appreciate the thought and the connection to what it is that keeps us from accepting ourselves in our journey, accepting someone else, and then what we can do about it, how we can shift our relationship to acceptance or that which we are not accepting. So thanks for joining this week. First things first, the path of family healing is an opportunity to move back towards unity, a unified whole, an experience where there are very little spaces in between that are not fully loving or fully embracing. So these spaces are the opportunity to be so interwoven with all of life that when these things come up, we do the dance, we do the communication, we write the song, we share our hearts vulnerably and intentionally and directly, and it cultivates an even, if you think about it, basket weaving, it's an even tighter seam. So that is a little bit of what Path of Family Healing is, and everything that comes along with it is about the spaces in between, or about the whole, or about the personal soul. So thanks again for joining, and this week is about acceptance. So we'll just do a brief little story song about acceptance, and I wonder where your heart lands with acceptance. I wish something was different. I wish upon a star that we could be connected to everything, that we could breathe in all the spaces in between. 'Cause I wish that somebody looked at me and said that they loved everything they see. I wish that I could show up to my family and say you are pure beauty. And anything you do won't keep me from loving you. Every single moment, it's true. 'Cause when I practice acceptance, I have to learn to let go of my judgments and embrace everything. But I know that my anger, my desire to be self-loving, it's met by this reflection. So we can practice. We can practice. And I think about the moments where I have not practiced, and I think about the moments where I have practiced. 'Cause I look into the mirror, and I see my reflection so dear. Look into the mirror, and I say that life is okay. Oh, life is okay. Every single moment is day is pure beauty. It's okay, no matter what happens. Everything is flowing. It's not a mistake if I just keep on growing. And that is a good place to end, because I believe that it is not a mistake. If we keep on going and growing, if we keep on showing up for life, and if we keep offering our heart to that intention of unity or wholeness or love, and it's not easy. So many good things there in that little improv. The first things first is, well, a lot of it has to do with our acceptance within ourselves. And then it has to do with harm and space, that mixed bag of, do I give space to this, or do I hold a very clear boundary? Which maybe that'll be next week's themes, boundaries. Because boundaries can be excuses for not being intimate. At least, more importantly, not being intimate with yourself. So, let's rewind a little bit and go back to self-acceptance. And how many of you want to be accepted and loved by your family and friends? And how do you feel about the fringiest parts of you? Do you feel like they are acceptable? Do you feel like they have not been reflected as accepted by others? Oh, he's too loud. Oh, he's too sensitive. He's so, he's trying to be so deep all the time. We just want to play. These are some reflections that I've received in the past that have led me to face the parts of me that I do not accept, that I did not accept, that I was too loud, that I was too sensitive, that I was trying to be deep all the time. And I made those into problems about myself because I thought other people wouldn't love me. So then I learned that that is an awesome opportunity to shift how I perceive myself and to give myself the gift of love, the gift of radical acceptance, the gift of openness and curiosity as to why I would have that judgment of myself. Now, it's important to be present to that desire of why I want to be accepted by someone. It's because I want to be loved. I don't want to lose love. I have a fear of losing that relationship, that connection, that moment of joy, of being held. And if I go too far, then that's just, well, I'm going to lose it. But then that's inauthentic, because if something's authentic to me, like, oh, in a moment, then where's my middle ground when someone's not really available for that part of me? And this is the practice that I think we'll go on a little series for this one. We're just talking about acceptance right now, because there's so much we could talk about here, that we will save some of those themes of how far, how do I meet, who do I go to be embraced in my wholeness, in my deep anger and sadness and hurt. Do I go to the people that haven't necessarily shown me that they can hold me in the past? How do I show up to them in that way? Hey, I'd love for you to be able to embrace this fringier part of me that's afraid of being rejected. How do you cultivate the safety? All these good questions we'll go into another time. Right now is acceptance. So you can look at a relationship in your family or your friend group where you see a behavior and you're like, I just don't like this. This doesn't feel good. I don't accept this as a part of them and our relationship. It means that I might not trust this person to show up for me when I need. It means that I might not trust this person to be on time, to be emotionally safe, to co-create in an honest way for them to bring their full honesty. And so, as you can tell, acceptance has a lot to do with trust. And trust is such a big part of relationships. It's probably the thing. So I can relate to you and the challenge of where you don't accept someone else or yourself. And really, we ought to just separate those two and just say where I don't accept myself. But the catch is where you don't accept someone else is probably pointing to something in you. If it triggers you, if it activates your emotions, if it gets you all frustrated or hurt, then it means that that's probably an awesome opportunity to say, where don't I accept something similar to me in this relationship? Someone's always late. Okay. You perceive them to always be late. What emotion does that bring up? And so on. So, story time. Kind of deciding between going into a personal story. Yeah, I think I can share one that's still pretty fresh to me. So I sing something called kirtan or bhajans, which is an Indian spiritual practice, or you could shorten it to worship music, which I wouldn't necessarily just call it that. But we're chanting different names of deities, different embodiments of God and Goddess. And so these deities are a reflection of qualities that we want to cultivate. Like Ganesha is the quality of resilience and breaking through challenges. And Kali is this destroyer of your ego, of your illusory self, and so on and so forth. And so singing these helps to align the body and spirit, the physical vibrations, change the frequency of your cells, and it's overall just a very fun thing to do. And so I got into this several years ago through a partner, and a previous partner. And, well, it was very scary to share this with my family. I didn't know how to communicate because we were raised Catholic and I never heard of anything outside of this. And so I stepped into this very trepidatiously, very nervously, and honestly with a lot of guilt and shame towards myself. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. And so that made it very clear to my family. There was this reflection of like, what are you doing? Like, this doesn't make sense. This came out of the blue. Who, these kind of question judgments, like questions, sometimes judgments. And I was very available to feel that within myself, my self-judgment of like, what am I doing? What is this? Where's this coming from? Lack of acceptance. A part of me did not accept a part of myself. And so I got to go on this journey of discovery through communication. And originally I got really mad and I said, why don't you understand me? And then I went more in the internal route, which is what I would recommend. But going external first is totally normal and part of the process a lot of the times. And so then I went internal and I realized, well, part of me is having a hard time understanding because I didn't fully understand what I was doing. Also, part of me just had a lot of self-judgments that came from historical beliefs that I learned through Catholicism about not being open to other religious practices and not being open to this being something benevolent and loving and beautiful, and holding a subtle judgment of like, I'm not doing something benevolent, loving, and beautiful. So I got to do all this in a short period of time, or over years, depends how you look at it, and I got to enjoy the love for myself, the clarity of why I do something, which could transcend or transfer over to anything that you do that you don't feel accepted by your family, and bring that same practice of internal awareness. Where does this judgment come from? This lack of acceptance come from? And then practice the communication. So I did probably 2 or 3 years ago get to talk to my parents and say, hey, I wanted to have a more honest conversation about this. I do this thing where I sing mantras, and I want you to understand a little bit. I want to share with you a little bit more of why I do this, and the intention would be for you to understand. And whether or not someone comes to acceptance, it is about your self-acceptance first. And this is the opportunity of a lifetime, because people may never understand or accept why you do something or accept you. But if you are in that full loving acceptance, then your authentic heart is here for the world. That is your gift. So coming into the right now tool, being present with what am I not accepting within myself. I almost want to make a separate one for what you don't accept in someone else. So maybe that'll transfer over to next week. But just focusing on, what does my family not accept in me, family or friend, not accept in me? What are the reflections? What are some of the behaviors that you've seen at a family gathering or hanging out with someone? Of course, any statement of you're too this, you're too much, you're too boring, you're too quiet, or something along the lines of I wish you. That's another thing that can come in this category of non-acceptance. And bringing that into awareness and noticing, how does that make me feel? Too loud. Taking a breath you can go into the whole process and you can say, where does this come from in my life or in my family? And going into that, put a hand on your body part where you feel it. Take a deep breath. Notice the tendency to be angry or closed off to someone else in that moment. That's okay. Let it be so. And then move into curiosity. What does this part of me need? Why don't I accept this part of me? Why might I not accept this part of me? And through those questions, coming into clarity, it's because, I felt really hurt as a kid, and it actually made me lose connection because I was too loud. So I thought, better not be too loud, in that perception of what too loud is. And then from there, also getting to know, what's the insight here? I wasn't really aware of the whole space when I was screaming while everyone else was silent. I wasn't really aware of everyone else's emotional needs while I started belting a song at the top of my lungs. I can practice more awareness. So there's a gift aspect to non-acceptance, and then there's just the gift of embracing. And part of why you can't integrate the insight, and this is the bonus part of the practice, part of why we cannot accept the insight fully, or this part, is because we're still holding on to a sense of fear or hurt. And that needs to be released so the attunement or the awareness can come through, aka the insight for me in this instance. And then you will be more whole to show up in these spaces, more trusting of yourself. So that seems like a good place to stop. Thank you for joining. We'll just end with a feel free to close your eyes. My journey back to is full of. I embrace everything I am. I embrace everything I can. I embrace all of my heart. Thanks again for joining. Wishing you a beautiful week. Continue to enjoy the benefit of self-acceptance and acceptance of others. Bye for now.